Hi everyone, thank you for joining me again. It's Mrs. Red here from Mrs. Red's Art Room. Today we're going to be having a look at what is inside the October Red's Art Cart. Here is a little teaser as to what may be inside the cart or what is inside the cart. Any clues? It's quite a big one. Okay, let's go have a look. So if you haven't guessed by now, we are having a little bit of a marker pen month for October. I'm going to briefly go over what's inside the October Art Cart so that we can get on to the demonstration straight away. Everyone's receiving this cute little pack of paper samples. There are 6 little paper samples inside, which I've just got out here, coming in different weights and textures, and the ivory and the white. The brochure that you will also receive will actually explain the book sizes that you can get them in: hardcover, spiral bound, soft cover, beautiful paper. With the Derwent sketching pencil, it is a water soluble pencil, so you can actually wash away the pencil marks, which is perfect. Well, it's not always perfect. Sometimes I've washed away pencil lines that I didn't actually want to wash away, but I do love to use a water soluble graphite pencil. The Tombow markers are a dual tip marker, brush end, pen end. These are a Mrs. Red personal favourite. I'll explain a bit later as to why. I'm not touching any of these products because as soon as I touch them, the brand roll over. It took me ages to set this up. The water pen that we've got, the Aqua Brush, there's quite a few of these on the market now. They're quite popular, great to use, great to travel with. The Pigma Micron, again, another Mrs. Red favourite. Everyone is receiving the Nib 3 size. The Posca pen, everyone knows about the Posca pens, another great pen, fine. You're getting the fine size for this one in a white, mainly for highlighting. And then of course the Chameleon, which has been out for about 2 years now. Kind of got introduced when the colouring book phase took over Australia, and everyone's getting one of these. So if you haven't had a chance to use one before, now you get that chance. Okay, so let's get on with the demo so that we can see what all these beautiful products can do. So we're going to start just by explaining about the paper to begin with the Stillman and Byrne paper. It is a mixed media paper, and the difference between a mixed media paper and a cartridge paper when it comes to marker pens is that any of your marker pens that are water soluble won't work so well with a cartridge paper, so they need that mixed media paper, alternatively a watercolour paper. I will show you an example of the Tombow markers on cartridge paper, which I did in my just a cartridge sketchbook. First of all, I want to just quickly show you, everyone who has received this art cart gets this as an example in it. That is the example I've done using everything that's in the October art cart, and this one has actually been done on a watercolour paper, which is similar to one of the samples that you'll get. I think it's the Beta one, 270 GSM, and you can see down here that the watercolour, that's all come from the Tombow markers, all that watercolour. And there we go there. So I'll get that out of the way. Okay, so we'll start with the graphite pencil. Like I said before, it is a water soluble one, so it's HB, and we'll just have a little, if I was to sketch something up, I'm not putting much pressure on a pencil, purely because if you're sketching something up and you make a mistake, you want to be able to rub out. So the good thing about this, and what happened with that example that I just showed you, is I have sketched up all of these sort of areas that I want to go over with the black pen or the Tombow markers first, and then once I've used the Tombow markers, because I've done it so lightly, it actually dissolves and you don't have to worry about rubbing out. So we'll put that down. I hope, yeah, you can see that in there. And then if we apply, oh, that's very wet. There we go. And if we apply that water brush to it, obviously I've already filled up my canister with water. You can see that it's almost going to fade out. These water brushes are fantastic, especially if you're travelling. You just unscrew the little canister there and just tip a bit of water in. The only thing you have to do is just have a spare piece of paper handy so that you can just wipe away that water on there. So there's a very light wash. You can actually use these aqua water soluble graphite pencils in a drawing, like use them to their full ability. I'm just doing a grayscale here. Which I may look, I might make this look very, very easy, but I have done 1,000 of them. And then we just apply that. It will be a really, really black graphite. Very, very clever to be able to work with the graphite pencil and then apply water to it. I love it. And there we go. I'll just wipe that off. So we'll have a look at the Tombow markers now. Now with these markers, there's a 96 in the colour range. Pretty much all of them you can buy on the Mrs. Red's Art Shop online. They have the brush end and a pen end, which is very, very handy. And there's also a blender as well. So the blender helps you blend two different colours together. It also can sort of like push one colour out into a bit of a fade. However, I reckon the water brush does a better job of that myself. So I'll just begin by putting these up here, just each colour. The Tombow markers won't go through your paper either, unless you've got a very, very thin piece of paper. They actually won't bleed through to the other side, and that's because they're not alcohol based as other markers, which is great if you're still into the colouring in book phase, because these won't go through to the colouring that's on the other side. So I just want to demonstrate very quickly if you apply water to these. It's not very thick. There we go. Oh, I just absolutely adore these markers. The fact that you can actually turn them into a wash is what I love about them, and that they have that dual tip as well. I'll just show you quickly the thickness of that dual tip. So you can do some nice fine doodling with that. Now the beauty of these markers is that they will blend with each other. So the three that you're getting in your art cart most likely won't all blend together. These three colours, you've got your purple and your blue that will blend together. You've got your green and your blue that are going to blend together. If you blend your purple and your green together, do that if you want brown. Okay, remember that, and I might even give it a go if I remember. So we'll start with the blue and the green, the purple and the green. Oh, you know what I mean. And I'm just going to demonstrate by putting a bit of colour along here. I'll make it a bit longer because I need to blend a bit of it. This yummy, yummy blue. And then as soon as I go over that purple, we're getting another colour. You can even see it blending out there. Can't help myself. Now with these tips, even though it's hard to see on this one because it's so dark, if you were rubbing a yellow over a red, the yellow tip will get red on it. It self-cleans itself. I don't know how long it takes to do that. It could be like an hour or so, but generally it will self-clean itself. So then we're applying water again and getting that beautiful colour wash there. Always make sure just to have a spare piece of paper handy to wipe all that excess colour off your the bristles, if you're using a water brush, of course. Yum, yum, yum. And then the colour that you've made by those two colours is this really beautiful deep purple. I feel like I need to put a bit more water on the brush. To put more water on the brush, just give it a squeeze and you can hopefully see that coming through, and you, ooh, sorry, I didn't want that to drop on to the artwork. Oh, I don't know if that pickle, it does too, yum. That looks so nice. Ooh, I put a contaminated brush in there then. There we go. So from those two colours you've actually made a third as well. And we'll do the same with the green and blue. Not such a change in colour, a little bit more subtle, but still a really nice different colour that you've made. And we'll just go through that process again, where we've got our blue, the green, and it's going to be just a deeper green really, that will have been made. I am working on the 270 GSM paper for this one, so it is a thicker card. Even the lighter one, the Tombow markers won't go through. Beautiful turquoisey, mareenish colour happening there. Now I have here also, like I said I would, the example in, this is just a cartridge sketchbook, and you can see here I've blended both the green and the purple. Does not work as well as that does, and I've tried it again here. You can still get your three colours from, you know, blending it onto say a cartridge paper, but you're just not going to get these beautiful watercolour washes that happen. The other thing which was interesting to note was the only bit that has come through is where I applied the water, so it doesn't come through the paper on cartridge paper, the mixed media paper, watercolour paper, that won't come through. I forgot to mention what a green and a purple look like together, so we'll quickly do that one now and you'll see what colour we end up with. It's because they are complementary colours. Complementary colours look great together, but they will not blend together. And this applies when you're painting as well. So the colour that I've actually created there is actually a really deep green, like an army green. However, I don't know how it's going to actually reproduce. Let's see. I've got that green there, had a little bit of blue left on that brush then, that was a bit naughty. And that purple, which is a real magenta, more so than a purple. That particular one that I've used anyway. So it's going to prove me a total liar. It's actually made a really, really nice deep green. There you go. Proven to be a liar. Live on YouTube. That's a really nice colour. I wish I had actually done that for my artwork, because I would have had another colour that I could have used. Oh well, too late. Can do that next time. Okay, so moving right along to the Pigma Micron pens. Now these, just like the Tombow markers, are Japanese. The Pigma Microns have been around for over 25 years now, And the best thing about them is that they do not bleed. So if you do get a splash of water or a splash of bubbles on your drawing, it's actually not going to bleed. And they also are archival ink. So then when you find a pen that says archival ink, it's never going to fade on you. Non-archival ink pens will tend to fade. They can go a sepia colour or a sort of like an army green colour as well. The Pigma Microns come in a range of different sizes. The one I've chosen is very much in the middle of the range. They also do brushes, as in brush pens, and I went to order some more brush pens the other day for the art shop, only to find that they've actually now brought them out in 3 different size nibs, and you can also get them in a few colours as well. I sell the 05 in a sepia. I think it's 05, it could be 03, in a sepia colour as well. With the other colours, they only come in one of the nib sizes, and it's either 03 or 05. I should have checked that out beforehand. Again, this is one of Mrs. Red's most favourite art products of all. So with this, very hard to sort of like see what I'm going to be doing here. So hang on, I'm just getting the artwork again. That's all been done with the 03 nib size. It has all been done. I don't know if you can see through there. That was put down before I put the Tombow markers down, so to proving that it doesn't bleed, and with all of these here as well. And just to prove that fact, we'll pick up that brush now. Doesn't matter if I've got any colour on it. And go over the top, and you just, and I've only just laid that down, 10 seconds ago. It will not bleed. That is the best thing about these pens. They won't bleed, they won't fade on you. Okay, moving along to the next pen we've got, which is the Posca pens. Now the Posca pens, if you haven't already heard of them, come in about 4 or 5 different thicknesses. The one that I've chosen for this art card, I don't know if it's very hard to see there, it's the finest one that you can get. And the reason I chose that is because I purely wanted it just to be for highlights. I'll get my example again, and you can see there's all little white dots through it, a few little lines as well. I've got that going down there. I love these pens for the fact that they are a paint pen, so they work well as highlighting over the top of artworks. You can use them on glass. It will scratch off without scratching the glass. They are a permanent pen. They don't fade. Back at the art room, we used to let the kids use them on their skateboard decks. And the only thing that I have found with the Posca range is that they don't like to be used as a colouring in pen. They start to remove themselves once you use it as a colouring pen. But they have so many uses, and I know you can grab them anywhere. Not all of them, but the finer ones are harder to find, but the larger tips, you can usually get them in newsagents as well. Very handy to have around. When you do get a Posca pen that you're using for the first time, if you hear the shake that I'll give it, they have a little marble ball inside to keep the paint moving around, and that nib, you can actually see that's actually leaked a bit there, and because it's white, it's hard to say, but you need to be pressing the nib down quite a few times and the paint will seep through into the nib. So for this one, I could probably do it here. I did find also that the ink in the Posca pen liked the Chameleon pen a lot better than it did the Posca, the Tombow pens. But that has worked quite nicely over that graphite wash. And then let's just try on here. Yeah, you can kind of tell if I remove that one that the the graphite prefers it over the Tombow as well, but that's not to say you can't use it on the Tombow. You can still play around with it. Great little highlighting pen to use. And finally, we're going to explore the Chameleon pen. Now, something I didn't know about the Chameleon pen is that it's actually a Japanese pen as well. They're so clever, those Japanese, when it comes to their art materials. Love them. Now, with the Chameleon pens, there is 20 colours in the range. However, they are also sold in sets, and the sets contain different colours to what you can buy individually. So just bear that in mind if you do want to purchase some more of these. That the sets contain colours that you can't buy individually, and you will be able to buy a few of these colours on the Mrs. Red's Art Shop website as well. They're low odour, non-toxic, alcohol based, so as opposed to the Tombow markers, which are not alcohol based, and I don't think the Pigma Micron is either. This will go through the paper, whereas these guys didn't. You can see on the example there, completely clean. I'm going to show you how the Chameleon pens work on the thinner paper, but I might also put a bit on there just to see if it will go through, because that's quite a thick paper. So with these pens, if you haven't used these before, there's only one important thing that you've got to do. So you pull off that tip in there is what fades the Chameleon. Okay, so take the lid off there. There is this particular colour, which is the crimson red, which some of you may receive. And what we have to do, this is the only important thing you've got to remember, which is not great when you've got a webcam coming straight down onto you, but I have to hold the blending tip up and insert the pen onto it. Do it the other way around and it doesn't work as effectively. You just won't get that blend. The other thing to remember, which you work out when you give it a go, is the longer you leave the tip on the blending, the greater your tone will be. So for the artwork that I did, just get that again, all of these were left on for 10 seconds, whereas these little ones were left on for about 4 or 5 seconds, because I just didn't want that tone to happen. And you'll see all that in the YouTube video for that example that I did. So we've got the pen ready to go. Now it's going to be a bit hard for me to do this because I've got to keep it upright, but put it in there. You can see it's in there now. And 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think it's about 10 seconds. We'll take that off. And when we start toning, we actually didn't leave it on long enough, probably because it was the first time. So we'll just do that again. I'll put it back on. 1, 2, I don't want to count. I kind of just rather talk about it rather than that. And I did say about the colours, these won't blend, and you get water on them, they won't move. They won't move anywhere at all. And yeah, we can see that it's gone through straight away. I've left this one on for a long time, probably closer to 20 seconds. It's a bit dirty, that tip then. Okay, so there you're getting that tonal scale from it. So they're just a fun pen. You wouldn't, it's hard to say what uses you've got with these other than just highlighting areas and doing as I've done on that, which does look very effective. You wouldn't be able to get that happening with a Tombow. Even if you had the blending pen to do that, you're not going to get that. That's the whole beauty of these Chameleon pens. Oh, I've left it in there and not had it up, which is a bit naughty because my actual nib in there is going to get a bit of red. Hang on, sorry, I just want to have it up for a little bit longer because I want to get that tone happening again, which does look really nice there, but I'm not happy about that little tip there. Might be because this pen's actually starting to get a bit old. I've used it for more than just the artwork that I experimented with. Oh no, there we go. Lovely. Now now I've finished, so I'm not going to put back into the blending tip. Easy as that, and then they can be laid flat again, not a problem. And I just wanted to see on that, yep, it hasn't really even gone through on that either. That's because that one was the 270 GSM. While I've got this card in my hand, I just wanted to show you again those beautiful colours that the Tombow markers have made. Even the one that proved me wrong, which has just come out a beautiful, beautiful colour. What I just love about this the most is that these are not watercolours. These are pens that you can put water with, and they don't go through. They wouldn't even go through on this one, like I proved with the cartridge paper. So that's that there. And just to wrap things up, just a reminder that with every card that goes out, I put in a artist trading card. Generally, they are a watercolour paper that I use for these, so they will work perfectly with your Tombow markers this month. With the artist trading card, up to you what you do with it. You can do nothing. You can use it to wash your brush if you need to. If you like, do a little artwork on it and give it to a friend or a family member, or you could pop it back in the mail and send it back to me, and then I can put it into someone else's art cart in the future. And this little card here is purely for social media reasons. So if you do want to hashtag or go to the Facebook group and take a photo of your artwork, remember to stick this little card in, because it's just saying where you got the materials from and helping small business, of course. And that, I think, is all I've got for you for this card. Go and enjoy these marker pens. They are brilliant. Most of what you've got here is bought on the Mrs. Red's Art Room shop, which is actually mrsredsartshop.com. And I will see you on social media, let's hope. Thanks for watching. Bye. So everyone, I'm back very quickly for a very embarrassing little thing that's happened. You can even see that my fingernails are not prepared for this recording. They are what we call nude at the moment. They're between colours, but I wasn't going to slap on some colour just for this little thing. I've done something really embarrassing. With everyone who gets the art card, you get a little info card, and it has the example of the artwork on one side and a list of the products on the other side explaining what the products do, etc. And I got down to the chameleon pen only to find out that it is a dual tip. And I thought, dual tip? I didn't know it was a dual tip. I've only used one end. I took that end off, and that's all I've used. Embarrassingly, there's also this end. So you've got a brush end and a bullet end. Embarrassing. So I don't need to actually show you how that works, because it's exactly the same. That's where you put your blender in, and you just take that one off there and put it into there. So there you go. Wish I knew that before I started my artwork. Anyway, that was the little bit that I just needed to add at the end there. I won't make that one again, will I? Okay, see ya.